one. KenCast.
Hey everyone, how you doing today? I know if you're watching the stream right now, you're probably a Cobra Kai fan. And I don't know, it's an interesting day. It's a day of mixed emotions, I think. On the one hand, it's amazing. We have more Cobra Kai to look forward to. Season 6, probably going to be an epic season, a blowout. But then on the other side, it's the last season. And I don't know about you, but, I've been watching Cobra Kai through the years and just kind of expecting that there's always going to be more on the horizon. There's always going to be something else to look forward to. There are always going to be new characters to bring on board that, this thing can't end, can it? Well, it looks like this will be the final season of Cobra Kai. We had an announcement today. I just released a video. Official announcement from, all the news sources, all the trade rags, but most importantly from John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg, and Josh Heald. Wonderful letter, which we'll get to in just a minute, that this will be the last season of Cobra Kai. However, they did mention their hope to continue working within the Karate Kid universe and maybe having more stories from that universe to tell going forward. And so I'm looking forward to talking about all this with you today. Definitely, this should be a cause for celebration. Don't want to get too down, but it's bittersweet. And it's great to see you all on board today. We will be having Peter from the Cobra Kai Kompanion podcast. He will be joining us to talk about all these things. In fact, I think Peter might be joining us right now. He's on the road right now, but he's still made time to be with us. Peter?
Hello, Ken.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Yes. I am doing this remotely. If you can do it outside of the Grove, the mall of the Grove, when you were trying to enroll into Cobra Kai, I can do this while working. This is a Cobra Kai support group, and I think we could all use a little support at this time.
Yes.
Coming to the realization that this is the 6th and final season.
Yes. And Peter, I have to say, thank you for coming on today. In the past and big moments such as right before the release of seasons, you're always the last person to come on board to take us over the finish line, to give us that emotional support till we get to the next threshold. And I'm glad you're with us on another important day today so we can kind of talk about all these things together. And of course, get your knowledge and wisdom about everything. So thank you for joining us, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here. I love the Martin Go design that you have on your shirt.
Thank you.
Silver. Yeah. So
yes,
I love that. He is currently working on a Chosen graphic from Karate Kid Part 2, holding the drum toy. Babe will come get his rattle. I think it's that scene right there. So, but yeah, no, happy to be brought in down the stretch in the clutch. For the sports enthusiasts. So yeah. Let's talk about this. We got this huge announcement. I did not see this coming. You just did a live last night.
And I know some of the people here today were here last night. We've got Drew Rohally. He's actually in the chat right now. And Drew, if you're listening and you're not working or you're able to join us as well, you're welcome to come in and talk with us as well. He had to leave a little early last night, but yeah, we had a discussion last night about all this where we speculated, what's going to happen and when does Netflix decide to cancel things and when do they decide to renew things? And so I think we kind of came to the conclusion that they would renew it. And I think we were hopeful that they would renew it for more than one more season, but it is what it is, Peter, it is what it is.
This is true. And Ken, do you remember what I said last night too about the question isn't a matter of like when season 6 will be renewed?
Do you mean like it's not just a question about season 6, but what else?
Yeah. Because I think there was never anything concrete in terms of like season six being the final season. I think many of us were kind of hanging on to those tweets that can't no one can seem to find anymore. Where John Hurwitz had previously said years before that they had outlines for six seasons. And
Mm,
again, if you take those words literally, it doesn't say anything about like season six being the final, or that there's only going to be six seasons. That's just the outline that they had. So we just kind of took that and ran with it, and just like, well, outlines for six seasons. That's kind of, we were like at the very least six seasons, and so yeah, I kind of had a feeling this would be the last. I mean, season five wrapped up rather nicely, like any of the
right,
small storylines, and so now we
right,
can focus on the big storylines, with Terry Silver and the legacy
right.
characters. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's much more with the younger cast members in terms of like their storylines. I'm not sure what else do we really need from that, but obviously there's a huge part of the fandom that love those characters, as do
Yes,
I. But this is also the continuation of the Karate Kid saga, right? So
yes,
that's kind of what the focus is. So I see this kind of fitting. I don't want it just like everyone
yeah.
else, but I can understand, and I think the possibilities after season six is what I'm more excited about. Just the fact that we're going to get more stuff, and maybe not necessarily what we currently have now in the Cobra Kai storyline.
Yes, wonderful thoughts, Peter. And I am going to go ahead and talk to everyone who's joining us live. So many of you are watching live. I want to get to some of your thoughts because we're interested in what the fandom thinks. Ethan says, "Good to see you, Ethan. Is this the right place?" It's a good question. Is it the right place to end? Robana, thank you for being a channel member. Hi, good to have you. Mari says, kind of sad that it's the last season, but I'm happy that we got such an amazing show. And that's really a great way to put it. Sebastian, thanks for joining us today. Star Court, Food Court, we're in the end game now. We definitely are. Obvious says, hopefully season 6 is the last one. Yes, and it is. It's confirmed. Cobra Kai is a great show, but it could overstay its welcome. And a lot of people have been saying that, Peter. They've been talking about, hey, we love this show. We don't want it to go on too long. We don't want it to stretch into like 9 or 10 seasons and just have nowhere to go. We want it to end on an up note. And I don't know. Do you feel like you sympathize with that point of view?
Which point is that we don't want them to overstay their welcome?
Right. And that maybe it's good that it's ending now, because if it went longer, it'd be in danger of overstaying its welcome.
Yes, absolutely. Somebody actually tweeted or replied to my post on Twitter and said basically they disagree and think that Cobra Kai should keep going until they drop, which I don't think is really a good format for any show. Really, like you want
Right.
they have the creators have always said that they had an end game, and I think this is. Like we've trusted them this far. I don't think they've done anything where the fandom lashed out because of their decisions or whatnot. We have trusted them this far, and we think that they should decide how the show should end. And we should be very happy that that's exactly what's happening. Netflix isn't dictating this. This is them. This is the story. This is their story, and they're going to end it the way they want to. Josh Heald at some point, I believe it was on Twitter. I think he has even said that they don't want to overstay their welcome. So they
Mm,
even acknowledge that as fans themselves, and that's another thing. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves that they too are huge fans. In many cases, bigger fans than many of us of this. And
mhm.
imagine them having to come to terms with having to say goodbye to their own creation.
That's a great point, Peter. It's like as sad as we are, it's probably doubly sad for them and everyone involved. Yeah, that's a really, really great point. Lisa Barrett says hi. Thanks for being a channel member, Lisa. How are Ken and everyone in the chat? Doing, you know what, considering everything, doing well, and looking forward to talking all this out with all of you. Drew Rohally says hashtag save silver. Yes, yes. That's wonderful, Drew. Thank you. We will be talking about Save Silver in just a little bit. Terry Johnson, good to see you. If we were going to have 2 more seasons, sure, but only 1 more doesn't give much time for Julie unless she's just a guest star like Allie was. Yeah, that's Peter, that's a good point. Now, I was talking with Drew last night, and I kind of tended to agree with him that the way season 5 ended, it's almost like they could spin up a big 2-season story arc to sort of finish this. And we were kind of hoping for that because there's still characters like Julie Pierce that still haven't, appeared in the Cobra Kai series. And then there's a lot to complete as it is. And so do you think that 1 season is enough, especially for people wanting Julie Pierce to appear?
It's hard for me to answer right now. I mean, just based on that question alone, is season 1 enough? It can be. At this point, they have never changed their format. It's always been 10 episodes, somewhere with a runtime of late 20s to early 40-minute mark is kind of what we've been getting. I don't know if this being the final season, will there be an exception? Are they going to get extended, more episodes, longer runtime? We're not sure, but I'll tell you what, with season 5, how the heck did they fit in the Mexico storyline and still gave us what they gave us?
That's a good point. They went to Mexico. You're absolutely right.
People forgot
well
about that.
Beyond the Valley. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that happened. That was
it did.
5. Yeah.
Michael Graff joins us. How you doing, Michael? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
He's probably also delivering mail.
Is he? That's great. Well, hey, that's the great thing. If you're watching at home, at work, on the road, hopefully this is a great time where we can all process this news together. And let's get into the main news.
KenCast News.
Okay, Peter, thanks for joining us. And the first bit of news is that I am talking to Peter Vonasak, who is the person behind the Cobra Kai Kompanion podcast. You guys know Cobra Kai Kompanion, I'm sure. You listen to Cobra Kai Kompanion. He has so much amazing content, so many interviews and connections to the series, and just knowledge of the entire Miyagi-verse, which is just incredible. So if you're not following or listening to the Cobra Kai Kompanion podcast, please do that now. Give him an amazing review after you listen to his episodes, because I think you will just absolutely love it. So, Peter, let's talk about, and before we get into this, I just want to say thank you, Peaceful Skull Gaming. Really appreciate the super chat. Cobra Kai never dies. Thank you for supporting the channel. I have the tweets here. I'm going to pull up the tweets from the showrunners. So the first thing we have is from Josh Heald. He says, announcement. Hayden Schlossberg says, official declaration from us. Big thanks to the fans for getting us to the finish line. Now get ready for one final round and lots of big surprises along the way. That's really interesting. John Hurwitz says, never be afraid to fight for your dreams. They just might come true. Hash Brown, Team Cobra Kai Netflix. That's really, I love that message. It's just so hopeful. And Peter, I think what I'm going to do is they joint wrote this letter to fans. So for everyone watching who enjoys this show, Cobra Kai, they wrote a letter to you. And I think Peter, I'm just going to go through it and read the letter. And then we'll have all the information I guess we need for our discussion today. Okay. All right. So I've got it up here. Hopefully you guys can see it. I love how it's got like this sort of distressed paper with the All Valley letterhead. It's from the All Valley Tournament Committee. And it opens with a quote from Lucille LaRusso, Daniel's mother. Paradise at last, we made it. So that's from Karate Kid 1. And that's, I don't know, it kind of brings a tear to my eye. Anyway. All right. So this is what they say. When Daniel LaRusso arrived in the Valley with his mother in 1984, little did he know that his life was about to be forever changed. The same went for 3 young kids from New Jersey who hadn't yet met one another. Daniel's journey from bullied teen to underdog hero became an indelible part of our childhoods and something that we would always carry with us in our hearts. Reacquainting the world with the Karate Kid universe has been our humble honor. Making Cobra Kai has allowed us to join the same hallowed dojo once inhabited by the great Robert Mark Kamen, John Alvinson, Jerry Weintraub, and all the amazing original cast members. It has also enabled us to play Sensei, expanding the original storylines and birthing a new generation of underdogs. We've never once taken this opportunity for granted. Our day one goal with Cobra Kai has always been to end it on our terms, leaving the valley in the time and place we've always imagined. So it is with immense pride and thankfulness that we're able to announce that achievement. The upcoming season 6 will mark the conclusion of Cobra Kai. While this may be a bittersweet day for the fandom, the Miyagi-verse has never been stronger. This fandom is the best on the planet, and we hope to be telling more Karate Kid stories with you down the line, because as we all know, Cobra Kai never dies. In the meantime, strap in for the biggest season of Cobra Kai yet, all in bold. And let today be a celebration of all that's come, as well as all that's still left to be told. We couldn't do it without you. We made it. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. From Josh Heel, John Hurwitz, and Hayden Schlossberg, and Cobra Kai Netflix. So, guys, that's a pretty powerful letter. I just made a video about this, and I don't think a lot of showrunners would make a letter like this to fans. And I don't know, you can tell just how much they love the universe, the series, and all the fans. So I don't know, what's your reaction, Peter, to this kind of very personal letter and everything in it?
So I've only read it one time, kind of when it first came out. I'm hearing it for the second time with you reading it. I think we're lucky to even have this. I mean, how many shows everyone's been talking about for the last weeks, months? Like, how many shows has Netflix ended after 1 or 2 seasons, and that's the last you heard about anything? Like, our showrunners were able to kind of give us a letter, kind of make, or I don't know, give us a good transition and allow us to find our own peace with this, that this is coming to an end. It's just, it hit differently when it finally was announced. Like, I knew we were going to hear about renewal for season 6 soon. I did not think that we would also get the reveal that it's the final season with it, maybe like along with a trailer, or I don't know. I guess that I never really thought about it, but it kind of makes sense. But I think we have nothing but to be excited about, that this is it. This is what we've been working to for the last few seasons.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think what's going on now is people wondering what's happening. We got some teases about that final season. We got a few teases in that letter. Some things I noticed right off the bat. This is going to be the biggest season of Cobra Kai ever. And I'm wondering, obviously you can say that in a general excitement way, but you can also say that in, it's big. Is it more epic? Are we going to new places? Are we going international? Is it big in terms of time, length of episodes, number of episodes? I saw some people in here predict, will it pull sort of a Breaking Bad? Will it, or like a Stranger Things where you kind of split the season into 2 parts? Are we going to get 45-minute episodes? Are we going to get like an hour and a half series finale, like a feature length finale? What does it mean for this to be the biggest season of Cobra Kai ever? And so that's one thing. And then another thing, of course, actually, Peter, I'll have you comment on that. Like, what do you think that means when they bold that phrase, the biggest season of Cobra Kai ever?
I think it's just kind of an emphasis that everything that we have seen thus far, they will top it. And they have continued to do that every single season since the very first season. I remember watching season 4 and it's like, how do you top that? Like the writing, gotten stronger, all the acting, you can tell that everyone was maturing into their own characters. And then season 5 happened. I was like, okay, well, we got like basically a movie version of Cobra Kai with season 5. It's pretty wild, but I like what you said. I mean, are we going international? I think that's a yes. Is it real international? That's probably the question. You know,
Right, right.
you
Yes.
know, is it, yeah, movie universe international more than likely, but for realsies, we'll wait and see. But
Right.
for those that don't know, the writers' room will be opening up here shortly in the next couple of weeks, in February. So they still have to write the
Right.
outlines for the episodes, and then they'll polish it, in the next few months. And Watch Party made a really great video where he thinks, they can start filming as soon as May, but we'll see.
Right. Right. Yes, and I think in the Deadline article today, they anticipate a beginning of shooting in late spring. So yes, that would be May. So that's really good timing there. And I think you posted a series of tweets from John Hurwitz in the past when they talked about the writing process. And if the writer's room is going to start sometime in February, then where they are right now is John, Josh, and Hayden are probably talking amongst themselves, kind of hashing out sort of the broad story strokes that they want to go through. And then in that other tweet you posted, he said that once they get into the writer's room, they tell everyone their ideas, and then the writers can go ahead and like pitch their own ideas. And so everyone kind of works together, and then they get the story hammered out and work, I think, on an episode at a time. Each writer takes some episodes and they write it. And so, yeah, guys, when we're talking about what's going to happen in season 6, the creators don't know for sure what's going to happen in season 6. So so it's kind of an interesting time. Like they probably have an idea of what they'd like to happen, but we can predict, but it has yet to be written. So I don't know. That's kind of exciting though, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, if you think about it, nobody knew what season 1 was going to bring us. Season 2 was also a big question mark. Season 3 was already written and filmed and produced and all of that, and we didn't get that until post Netflix. And so this is really the first time where they've kind of went in with a blank slate. For season 6. Season 5 was already wrapped up and filmed by the time season 4 was released. So as of right now, yeah, it's anybody's guess. And so this is where it's going to be really interesting to watch people's theories, theory videos, just kind of see where they think the show is heading, because we really have nothing to go off of. Articles and stuff won't be written for some time because they are now just starting to write the next and final season. So
Right.
I would imagine that, kind of like what you said, referencing the tweet. I think it was just earlier this week that I put that out there.
Yes.
So if anyone wants to go check that out, I did. I think I shared like 4 different screenshots of John's tweets from the last few years, just talking about the whatever respective upcoming season would be. And like you said, broad strokes for the upcoming season. Writers will get tasked with certain episodes, and they get to make their pitches and iron out all the details in between.
Indeed. And since we're talking about what could happen in season 6, I want to take this moment to bring everyone's attention to the plight of Terry Silver. And those of you who've been watching this channel, watching the coverage of the character of Terry Silver, know that a lot of us here feel like he's been given a bad rap, that perhaps he isn't as bad as the show seems to think he is, and that he doesn't really deserve to be in custody, really any more than some other people who committed verifiable hard crimes, breaking and entering, maiming people, all those types of things, theft, trespassing, all that kind of stuff. So we have been starting a Save Silver movement. So we just released a commercial this week to save Silver, and we're hoping that now that people are thinking about what's going to happen with Terry Silver, that Terry will be freed from custody and return to the world and be able to bestow his many gifts for martial arts and everything else upon the world. And so I'd like to take just a second to play this new commercial for you about Save Silver.
In times of crisis, great men rise to lead America. Men like Abraham Lincoln, George S. Patton, and Ronald Reagan. Another great man is Terrence Silver. A decorated war veteran, Terrence Silver has spent his life saving the environment, funding education, and creating jobs across the globe. Unfortunately, the enemies of freedom want to silence Silver and frame him for bogus crimes. We must not let that happen. Now is the time for all good citizens to stand up and save Silver. Call your representatives today and tell them to save Silver. Paid for by Cole Associates for a Free America. Show your support for the Save Silver movement with limited edition custom merchandise now available for purchase. Together, we can save Silver.
That's right, guys. Together, we can save Silver. So all of you who are Terry Silver fans, we have to band together, use the hashtag Save Silver. Let's see if we can get Terry out of custody and back where he belongs. At least some of us think that's where he belongs, is back out on the streets, teaching karate and just dominating the world. And there are, if you're interested, there are real merch things. We've got cups. There's a store, and actually, I'll flash this up. If you guys are watching this right now, use the code Save Silver for 20% off everything. We just want to get this merchandise out the door, into people's hands and wearing it, because we have to change the world together. So guys, if you're watching this, use that code Save Silver for the merch. But shameless plugs for Terry Silver and Save Silver out of the way. Peter, do you think, I'm just going to get this out of the way because everyone's asking this. Do you think Hilary Swank will be back as Julie Pierce before the end of the series?
I think so. I think I'm not saying we're working up to it, but I bring this up, kind of once in a while. But in season 2, actually, I think it was episode 201, Daniel says that, it's been, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, that it's been a long time since they've had more than 2 students, back there or something. I know somebody in the chat's going to know the line better than me, but right. Ever since Daniel has said that, the only person we could think of is like Julie Pierce. It just makes sense. Her grandmother was staying there during the events of the next Karate Kid, so at some point she must have met Daniel, and there's no way that and at the very least, like at Mr. Miyagi's funeral, she had to have gone there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, I'm going to expand this a little more. What are the chances that you think we would see Colonel Dugan before the end of the Cobra Kai series?
In my opinion, I don't think we'll see a Colonel Dugan.
Okay.
Yeah, it just and the funny thing is, I'm about to say what I say all the time. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't see why. Same thing with going into season 4. People were like, oh yeah, he's going to bring Chosen. Like, Chosen's going to be in season 4. And I told them, I go, that makes no sense. Like, why would Chosen be in season 4? And sure enough, at the very end of season 4, there he is, last 10 seconds. So I have been wrong many a times. But I don't see how that fits. Julie just makes the most sense, obviously. Right. But I'm sure if they really want to bring in Colonel Dugan, they will figure out a way that will work. I mean, look at Jessica Andrews. A lot of people were like, oh, well, she's probably going to show up, but nobody had like a really good idea on how it would actually work. Most people were like, well, it would just be fan service if she shows up. And look at the purpose that she served. Like every time I watch the scene with her and Amanda in that bar, I get teary-eyed just at the thought of them kind of reliving, at least hearing from her point of view, the events of Karate Kid 3, what happened to her and Daniel from and it's what he said, she said. That's just her story, right? Because we know Terry Silver wouldn't do that or something. But to see her point of view, it gets me every time, and it's just one of my favorite legacy returns. It's not something we ever expected. So Colonel Dugan, I guess, don't completely rule him out. In my opinion, it's just kind of like I don't see how it would make any sense unless. Unless, like Terry Silver, somehow a former like a Ned Randall shows up somehow and then bumps into Julie Pierce and then brings Colonel Dugan back into the fold, Terry Silver. So we'll see.
Here's an interesting thing. Let's see. Talking Straight with Nate has this idea that the painting, the Rembrandt that Terry Silver had, was the stolen painting from the Gardner Museum in Boston.
Right.
And Mike Barnes took that painting. What he's going to do with it, I don't know. He could bring it to Boston, so that could open up Boston, and who knows what could happen or who Mike could run into there. I've also got kind of this theory that I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but it actually makes sense, that we may have already seen Colonel Dugan in Cobra Kai in those Vietnam flashbacks, and I'll have a video coming out tomorrow. And so if that character is Colonel Dugan, and he would have been in the same cage as Terry and Kreese, then that's a connection point that could make sense. It would make sense for him to be back. I don't know if that's true or not. I honestly don't know if Michael Ironside, is even available to do stuff like that. All I can say is I wish that we could have a scene with Martin Kove, Thomas Ian Griffith, and Michael Ironside all in the same scene. That I think everyone's televisions would blow up.
Oh, absolutely. And phones, for those that
right.
seem, watch things only on their phones. That's the idea of that excites me. Absolutely. I guess the other thing to kind of maybe not necessarily bear in mind, but the things that had happened in season 5 are, some of it we never thought we would ever see in an episode of Cobra Kai.
Right.
Somebody losing a finger and the blood splatter that follows. Characters, almost dying, more so
Right.
chosen because of the way that happened. Kreese, so we don't know what. Season 6 hasn't been written yet. If you guys want to send things out into the internet, why not? Maybe something you put out there will stick. I actually, when I was doing Twitter surfing, I came across one of my old tweets where I had mentioned, you guys, spoiler alert for season 4. I was not able to get the writers to have Johnny say Instagram. Well, what I ended up finding out a little bit later is that on a flyer in Kicks Get Chicks, on a flyer it actually says Instagram. So Johnny has one. So I don't know if somebody was listening, but I know that I did send it out into the internet to at least 3 different writers while we were waiting on season 3, and in season 4. Johnny has an Instagram on a flyer. So he doesn't say it, but there you go.
Yes.
You never know.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you never know, guys. You never know. Anything's possible. Mikey Graff says, he's talking about the Save Silver commercial. Very emotional. I'm getting choked up. Save Silver. OAJ Edit says, Ronald Reagan is an actor. Who's to say Terry couldn't be an actor in disguise to fake a persona? A lot of people would say that Terry is very good at presenting himself as someone who's not authentic. Donnie, good to see you, Donnie. Gee, I love the entire Cobra Kai ensemble, not just Thomas Ian Griffith. Yeah, that's true. They're really all amazing, amazing actors. And Tammy says, I am sure there will be spinoffs after season 6, which, okay, Peter, we got to talk about this. What do you think the likelihood is for, and actually, this is the other thing that's mentioned in the letter that we read, is that they talked about their hope for more stories from the Cobra Kai universe going forward, from the Karate Kid universe. And so that to me is a clear tease of further series or movies about focusing on different characters, maybe some from the Cobra Kai series, maybe some from outside the Cobra Kai series. What do you think the chances are that we will, in the next 1 to 2 years, get some kind of spinoff to Cobra Kai?
I think it's very possible.
Nice. So, okay.
I think anything is possible. I think it's possible we'll get something after Cobra Kai. What it could be and whether that's going to happen, I don't know for sure. I can honestly say that.
Okay, well, that's great. And the thing is, as we talked about on the stream last night, Peter sometimes has been just out of nowhere exposed to information, proprietary information regarding this universe. We don't know if it's regarding this, but sometimes when we talk about what's going to happen in the future, Peter maybe has to be careful because he's not at liberty to disclose things that he knows. And the thing is, Peter, right? Even if you knew something, it's not a sure thing until it's a sure thing, right?
Correct. That
Yeah.
is definitely always the case.
Right.
Anytime I hear something that I feel might be a spoiler, I reach out to someone and say, "Is this something you would like me to omit?" And I go off of that. You help promote my show, and
Hmm.
I have done 127 interviews. The creators, they came on my show when they moved to Netflix, brought on
Yes.
Ralph and Billy, and we talked about that big move. So they have, I feel some sort of trust in me, and I don't
Right.
want to break that trust. I want to continue
Yes.
getting my interviews, and
Yes.
and people from the show sometimes just randomly reach out to me because I'm kind of, unofficially part of the crew, I guess. And sometimes people want to vent or just have no one else to say anything to, and so they say it to me.
Yeah. That's good. That is a great position of trust. So we appreciate listening to your wisdom and knowledge, even though you can't disclose those things. But that's super exciting. It's super exciting. OAJ Edit says, hey, Kenny, what a surprise. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for supporting the channel. Really appreciate that. OAJ Edits. Thank you so much. Alice Coyote says, yeah, I don't think Hillary will be in season 6. She's having twins and probably won't be free or want to do it. So, Peter, this is another thing that's been very hot as far as discussion is Hillary Swank. She's pregnant with twins, and then that is going to make it impossible for her to be part of Cobra Kai season 6. I want to get your thoughts on this, but I also want to reiterate what we were talking about earlier, in that probably season 6 is going to start shooting sometime in May. That seems to be a good guess. So it'll probably be starting sometime in May, and then usually it takes, I think, Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually it takes about three or 4 months to film a season,
That
right?
is correct based on history. Yes.
Okay. So that means that potentially Hillary Swank could appear anywhere from like May to July or August. If the production schedule, if there's a slot open to film a scene, it could be within there. And I think her due date's, I don't know when it is, but I think it's in springtime or early springtime. So I don't know. I want to get your thoughts, just as, a father, and, you've had the wonderful experience of having many kids. And so what is your guess as to Hillary Swank's availability for filming Cobra Kai season 6?
I do not know how far along she is, but I mean, anything is really possible. Ken, I don't know if you remember when season 3 filmed, but season 3 filmed basically just right after Labor Day in 2019 and wrapped up in December. Do you know what they filmed after they wrapped up in December?
No, I don't. What did they film?
They filmed the Okinawa sequences in Okinawa after they had wrapped in the
Oh,
US.
is that what happened?
That's what happened. And
Fascinating.
do you remember what episodes were the Okinawa episodes in season 3?
Right. Very early. I think, was it episodes 3 and 4?
3 and 4. And
Yeah.
so 3 and 4. Yeah, that sounds right. And so there is, I mean, Hillary, if they bring Hillary on, there's no reason that they can't bring her on like later on and shoot her sequences out of order, because that happens all the time.
Right. Yes. Indeed. And it even happened in a small way, guys. That happened with, if you've watched Cobra Cole, my short film with David Chatra, Tom Cole, we shot that out of sequence. So, we shot the stuff with the Ennis house and stuff after we shot the house scene. So it's easy to do. You have a script, and you can just schedule to shoot certain scenes at a certain time. So I think you're right, Peter. I think for Hillary Swank, Oscar-winning actress and member of the Miyagi-verse, they will try to find a time to get her involved. And I think you're right, Peter. I think she's going to be involved because she's gone on television and answered this question. And she says this is the number one question she gets, is people ask her if she's going to be on Cobra Kai. So I don't know. I just don't see a way that they could finish that series without Hilary Swank.
And the other thing is too, like people have already kind of been subscribing to the idea of the Sekai Takai possibly involving the senseis in
Mm-hmm.
competition as well.
Yes.
And so if you think that's going to happen, then you would have to imagine that Sensei Kim will also be a part of that, because also you don't create a brand new character, make them badass, and not use them in a final season. And also, if
Right.
you follow Alicia Hannah Kim, she was pretty excited about this announcement, because
Yes.
she may know what that means for her character. And I don't know. Actually, I'm pretty sure Karate Adjacent would not be able to defeat somebody like a Sensei Kim who has been learning karate her entire life, quite literally. And
Right.
so now Julie Pierce has not learned karate her entire life, but she's definitely got more years. If we think that she's continued on after the events of the next Karate Kid, she would have definitely more experience than Amanda herself.
Right. Right. Indeed. That's actually a wonderful point. And we talked a little, someone in the chat brought that up last night, the idea that will there be sort of a sensei round in the Sekai Taikai? And it kind of makes sense in a way, don't you think? If you have the top dojos in the world competing, well, who's the best sensei? Who's the best
Absolutely.
master? We need to know that. And I love that idea. That's so exciting. And yes, Kim Da-eun, badass character. And I think at this point, they've had her just fight, obviously, in that skirmish at the Cobra Kai dojo with the kids. So we really haven't seen her go up against adults. And that would be really an opportunity to show her character and how badass she is and everything too. So how great. Natalie says, "Hey Ken, do you think we'll learn anything about Silver's childhood and his father?" Now, everyone knows that I am such a big Terry Silver fan, and I obviously have high hope. I don't know. I don't know.
Do we know that about you, Ken?
we got this shirt here. I always want more Terry Silver content. I'll be honest with everyone. I'll be honest with you, Peter. I wrote an entire outline for a Terry Silver centered series, just therapeutically for myself.
Yeah,
I needed to
you
do it.
mentioned that. Yeah.
Yes, and that was a current day idea. It wasn't necessarily a flashback idea, and that's a whole other idea. Like you could have an entire series based on Kreese and Silver in Vietnam. I'm sure that would be a really interesting series. I love all this filling out of the story of Terry Silver. I don't know though. We might get more flashbacks. Something tells me though that I don't know. It could be there, but in the grand scheme of story that has to be covered in season 6, maybe we get a hint about Terry's background, but it might be more of a looking forward type thing. Maybe there'll be more flashbacks, but I don't know. We might get something about Terry and his father, but maybe we already know what we need to know. I don't know. What do you think, Peter? Will we get any kind of information about that relationship? Well, Peter's probably helping someone. So basically, yeah, I hope so. If there's maybe a little scene, a little conversation that can be had, I would love to learn more about Terry's background. How did Terry become the way he became? So that's a really great comment. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Kate Maloney, thanks for being a channel member, Kate, and joining us. If Colonel Dugan shows up, it could be at a VA nursing home where Kreese runs across him. Dugan chastises Kreese for being an idiot. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Well, if you look at Colonel Dugan from Next Karate Kid, he's easily the most unhinged of all of the villains in the Miyagi-verse. He's got serious problems. It's not just a little bit of PTSD. He's having trouble functioning in a normal world. You can talk about Kreese and him thinking of everything as battles and thinking of the kids as soldiers, but Dugan is beyond that. He actually thinks that these kids should die. He actually told Ned to kill Julie Pierce, basically, in Next Karate Kid. And that's pretty serious. So I think he's unhinged, emotionally unhinged. He doesn't have the self-control of, say, Terry Silver or John Kreese. And so, yeah, you can make a case that maybe he's not as bright, but he's dangerous. He's yeah. So I don't know. Maybe maybe Dugan does chastise Kreese for being an idiot. Maybe I'd love to see that interaction. And frankly, just having Martin Kove and Michael Ironside in the same scene would be great. Although I don't know if I want to see Colonel Dugan in a new nursing home, but that's a great comment. Thank you very much. Tig Terry Silver Rocks. Thank you for being a channel member, Tig Terry Silver Rocks. Thank you. Loving the t-shirt. Thank you very much. I also want to mention that Tig Terry Silver Rocks is executive producer of the show. She's a channel member, champion level. So thank you. Thank you very much. Josh, and whenever we get Peter back, Josh suggests that The Postman in Karate Kid 2 needs his own spinoff. And, I completely agree. And I think that Peter and Mikey Graff, I would love to hear their ideas for a Postman spinoff from Karate Kid 2. Of course, this would have to be back in the day. I'm sure the character isn't with us anymore. It's possible, but he wouldn't be around much. So this would probably be an 80s flashback, or maybe he's a veteran too. We could flash back to, maybe he was in the war with, I don't know, I guess it'd be more the Korean War. But hey, Peter,
working in the mailroom.
Yeah, right. Do you have any thoughts of a Postman, Karate Kid 2 Postman spin-off series or movie?
I mean, Ken, actually today is 16 years that I've been working for the post office.
Congratulations. Thanks for
thank you
joining us for your anniversary. Everyone wish Peter a happy anniversary.
Kind of forgot amidst the huge news. I mean, I posted it on Facebook like, hey, yeah, today is the anniversary, and also this is the news that they want to bring me. But no, I've had ideas ever since I got into the post office. I've always had this pitch, the post office. There's a show called The Office. There's no reason that it can't be the post office. And Michael Scott could be a postmaster, and he could be. I think I have all types of ideas and stories, personal stories. I'm sure Mikey has some of his own that we could incorporate into a show. So to answer your question, yes, we could do like a spin-off, throw one of the Eagle Fang members in there, and it'll be an extended universe. But we have ideas. But I think somebody needs to carry the flag for the mail carrier from Karate Kid Part 2 in the final season. I think that it needs to be done. That's just my opinion, though.
Well, maybe, you talked about your influence. Maybe that's something we can all band together and convince John, Josh, and Hayden to pitch to Netflix. We gotta make it happen. I agree. I'd love to see it.
I think somebody needs to deliver something of some sort. Like, they don't need any lines. They can just hand one of the legacy characters something.
Yes, indeed. Oh, that would be wonderful. Drew Rohally, who's joined us last night from the Last Row podcast, he says, I really, really, really hope we get more Terry. I feel like we can't end the series with him rotting in prison, save Silver. Exactly. Thank you, Drew. Drew says we also need the young Terry Kreese spinoff. Yeah, I know. And that's something too. I think those flashbacks have their own fan following. And I think we need to expand that into an entire series. Robana says also Ironside, Michael Ironside. We need to see Ironside in Karate Kid. Let's see what else. Ascensioner says, that's a great name. I really hope this final season does a few more episodes than the usual 10 and maybe like 45-minute long episodes. So I know we talked a little bit about this before, Peter, but the idea of doing longer episodes, they kind of started to do that in season 5. We had that epic finale and those episodes got a bit longer towards the end. Do you think that they will do that? We saw that in Stranger Things, the last season of Stranger Things, where those episodes were like feature length. Those final episodes were so long. Obviously, the format's a bit shorter, but do you think we're going to start to get, maybe once we get to the last 3 or 4 episodes, 45-minute episodes, maybe an hour-long finale, anything like that?
I think it's very possible. I don't remember the exact runtime, but the season 5 finale was upwards of 43, maybe 47 minutes itself. But starting around season 3 and every season thereafter, the runtime were all longer. So my next episode review is going to be the Sekai episode, which is, I believe, 508, and that one was like 37 minutes.
Right.
maybe not 36. I might be mistaken with Bad Eggs, but Bad Eggs, for as simple as that episode was, where Johnny and Daniel are visiting Kreese, Chosen is teaching the kids. That was also upwards of 30 minutes. So every episode has been slightly longer every season. So it's a matter of what are they going to show us. I know a lot of people are talking about like young Terry and Kreese spinoff. I don't know if we need a spinoff of that. Like I'm my
I need
what I
it.
want
Just
for
me.
them. Yeah, sure. Well, what I am waiting for them to kind of answer is how do we get from episode 507, Terry and John Kreese, to where we see John Kreese in Karate Kid Part 1 and Terry Silver in Karate Kid Part 3. How did those characters get there? That's what I want to see explored more.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't want them in Vietnam. I want them after what we've seen them so far in Karate Kid, in Cobra Kai, because that needs to be answered. Yeah, that's the connective tissue that I want.
And so that would almost lend an introduction to a young Johnny Lawrence, right? Potentially.
Absolutely, and we have like 3 of them. So
Yeah.
So it's a matter of
exactly.
like, who's at what age right now? So I absolutely young OG Cobras. Not just Johnny, right? You're gonna see Tommy at some point who's in love with Allie and decides to join Cobra Kai because of Johnny himself.
Right.
So I want to see that relationship because they are just so completely different. Where we saw them in South Korea than when we see them presumably the next time in the movies.
Yes. I love it. We've got Flip the Script says happy anniversary, Peter. So
thank you.
Just wishing you some good wishes on your work anniversary. Michael Graff says, for the record, I've never asked a customer to come back to their house after work to look around. Oh dear.
We just do it. We don't even ask. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
That's so funny. Michael Graff says mail carriers have a lot of time to think. That's funny. Thank you. We
sure do.
Yes. That's fascinating. But that's good, right? So in your guys' cases, you can think about the series. You can think about Cobra Kai and the Miyagi verse and all the implications of things. So let's see. We've got Marianella. Good to see Marianella. Does that mean that in this last season we'll have the 3 villains of the Karate Kid franchise? Kreese, Silver, and Colonel Dugan? I wish. Right. That would be fantastic. Eliza says many times when a show enters its final season, we'll see flash forwards for some of the main characters. Do you think we'll get this or even a time jump perhaps? Okay. So Peter, this is a big question everyone has. It's about the idea of a time jump. The fact that especially the younger actors, obviously, they're getting older, they're growing up, and it'll be a big jump in time in the real world from filming season 5 to filming season 6. So are they going to be able to start season 6 right where season 5 left off? Or is there going to have to be some sort of time jump? I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Peter?
I have some thoughts. This is one of my favorite questions because we have no idea.
Right.
These guys, the creators, they are creatures of habit. And what I mean by that is that they like their format and they tend to stick with it. Now, yes, the actors are all getting much bigger. When we see Anthony LaRusso next, he's going to look 30, right? Like at this rate, from what we have seen in previous seasons, he's going to look 30 the next time we see him. So I have entertained the idea of a possible time jump in the very beginning, just because that's what every Karate Kid movie has done. It has taken us following the previous movie. Every season has done that. So would they change the format at this point in season 6? It's very possible. I could also see the season taking off right after the events of season 5, and by the mid-season finale, episode 5 of season 6, maybe there's a time jump there.
Right. Exactly.
So
I think you're right. And I think what needs to be taken care of right at the beginning of season 6 is that we see how Terry Silver gets out of custody, and then we can have a time jump, right? But no, I think you're right. There could be a time jump in that series in the middle of the season, And just like maybe at the beginning, we're just going to wrap up some loose ends, because obviously Kreese has escaped. He's out. So we need to know what's going on with him. I think it'd be weird if we did a year time jump. We don't know what happened with John Kreese getting out of jail. He's just been out there for a year, I guess. I don't know. But Denitza says, Ken, I love the idea of Terry Silver series. I know, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I think people would dig it. So that would be a lot of fun to happen. And it would star Thomasine Griffith, of course. Kim says, Ken, I ain't ready to say goodbye yet. Fun ride it's been. Yeah, I know. Well, the thing is, and I think Peter will agree, we aren't going anywhere. And I think there's a significant likelihood that there will be other stories, other series to come out of the Miyagi-verse. And, Peter and I have been around. We've been fans of this all our lives. I mean, we've watched these movies countless times. We've thought about this so much that, we're going to be around. We're going to be thinking of these things. We're going to be talking about anything new that comes out, especially if John, Josh, and Hayden create it. So we're not going anywhere, and we're always happy to talk about this stuff. If anytime, Peter, what would you say? You're not going anywhere, right?
Not at all. For those that do like the Cobra Kai Kompanion content, after our season 5 episode reviews, I will be transitioning into a podcast network, and I will be following people that are part of the Miyagi-verse and kind of continue following their journeys. And so I will be reviewing shows like Obliterated, which the big three, as we call them, have just recently wrapped. And for those that don't know, one of the writers / producers of Cobra Kai, Michael Jonathan Smith, he also wrapped on his very first show that he's running called Twisted Metal, which I will also be covering. So I will still be around, and I will continue to cover anything that's related to the Miyagi-verse. Now, this isn't something that I kind of said publicly. Maybe like, in a few episodes, I might have mentioned maybe the episode where we kind of recapped our evening at Ralph Macchio's book signing tour here, or not here,
Right.
but up in Seattle.
Yes.
And we kind of talked about that experience. Now, I don't know if this is anything, and but when I visited Yuji at his restaurant back in August, and this, mind you, this is before season 5 came out. We knew nothing about season 5. We didn't know how much Chosen was going to be in it. Come to our surprise, he's in every episode. But he had asked me what were my thoughts of like a possible like a Chosen series or something.
Ooh.
Yes. But he gave no details. It's just an idea that he had. And at the time I told him, I go, well, I don't know how people feel about Chosen right now. And again, we hadn't seen season 5 yet. And oh my God, I can't think of anyone that would turn that down, if we had a Chosen series. But it was just something that was asked of me. And on my ride back home from Seattle, my friend says, you realize Yuji just kind of like asked for like your thoughts on the Chosen series. I go, yeah, but I thought he just kind of asked like, what do I think about the idea of it? He goes, I think he kind of wants to know what you think, like what it should be about. And I was like, you think so? And so I messaged Yuji and I go, yeah, if this is something that could be real, I would love to see something that happened between the events of Karate Kid Part 2 and to where we saw him in season 3.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'd be on board with that. The thing is, there's so many amazing characters. I want to see a series about them all, and
I do too.
Maybe it could happen. I mean, who knows? We have to create new content, and there's a huge fan base for this. So anything's possible. Sebastian says, Ken, would you ever live stream collaboratively with either Cobra Kai Nation, Cobra Kai Kid, or Talking Cobra Kai? Yes, actually, we've done it. Except I haven't talked yet with Talking Cobra Kai, but Cobra Kai Kid, we've been on each other's channels, and Cobra Kai Nation was on the Epic live stream, and we're looking forward to doing more going forward. So yes, 100%. All these, and especially Cobra Kai Kompanion, just really, I learned so much from Peter. And I learned so much from everyone else. I love talking with them about this great IP, I guess you could call it. Let's see. Braun Titan says, I really hope they make a Binary Brothers spinoff show with Eli and Dimitri. What do you think, Peter, about, because I know we're huge fans of the legacy characters. Do you think any of the younger characters would make for a spinoff that really would capture an audience? Would it be the Binary Brothers? Would it be Tori? Would it be Hawk? Who do you think would make for a good focal point for a series?
I think the short answer is like anybody could make for a great show. I mean, for those that watch Breaking Bad, who would have thought that Saul Goodman would get his own show after Breaking Bad, and look how successful that got. So the possibilities are endless because they have so many characters, many of which have stories that can be told. In my opinion, for example, look at Peyton List, who is just showing up everywhere. She's coming out with a new show. She's done like 2 or 3 movies. I feel kind of depending on the character and what story can be told with them. Some of these actors might want to move on to something else and kind of expand their journeys as actors themselves.
Yeah, you're right. And I know there's that fear, especially when you're starting out. It seems to be you don't want to get pigeonholed into one role. You want to kind of spread your wings and do a lot of different types of projects. And so, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that's what would happen. My own personal wish, of course, is I'd love to see a Tom Cole series. And you talk about sort of the Better Call Saul of the Cobra Kai series. I think say like Cobra Cole or something like that. That's a lot of fun. There are a lot of fun ideas there, and everyone. It's a tiny spinoff, but check out Cobra Cole whenever you can. That was a lot of fun to put together. Kim says, "Happy anniversary, Peter." She gives you some party hats and balloons.
Oh, thank you.
We hope you're having a good day, Peter. Josh, yes, I imagine Margaret and Milos in love, but. Okay, guys, Margaret and Milos are Terry Silver's staff in Karate Kid 3. So he imagines that they're in love, but their love is impossible, like Anthony Hopkins and Emma Thompson in Remains of the Day. I see, Josh, I love how high-minded you are and the fact that you related it to Remains of the Day, because I think Terry Silver would think of everything in his world being on that high level of class, with world-class actors and everything like that. So that's great. Do you think, Peter, we'll see anything from Karate Kid 3 characters we haven't seen? For instance, I really want Dennis to come back.
So do I. Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, Sensei William Christopher Ford, he's actively doing things on top of running his own dojo. He's worked on some web series of his own. I know he's got the 52 Masters, which he's not quite complete with yet, and also another show called Xander. So he is right there. If that's something somebody wants to do within the Miyagi verse, it'd be cool to kind of even see him in a season 6. Daryl Vidal is somebody that I think a lot of people still would like to see as well return. But just the young cast, like I said, there's so many. Like who wouldn't want a Bert and Nate, a buddy show, something like that, and kind of their burns to each other. We kind of miss the burns. I do, at least.
Yes, indeed. David Harris joins us and says, I just charged my phone and saw Cobra Kai season 6 got renewed, which is great, but it sounds like that's probably it. Yes, for anyone who's joining, it's been confirmed that season 6 will be the last season of Cobra Kai, although there are lots of teases of potential other series and spinoffs, so we don't know what's in store yet. Also, I'll bring this back up again so people can see if they missed it before. This is from Hayden Schlossberg, a big fan of Terry Silver. We're obviously big fans of Hayden, as well as John and Josh. But Hayden says, official declaration from us. Big thanks to the fans for getting us to the finish line. Now get ready for one final round and lots of big surprises along the way. So that's very telling and very exciting. And so, Peter, we know that in the past, a lot of other series, what they do if they do a spin-off is they might do sort of a setup episode within the main series that would kind of be like a covert pilot that would lead into a spin-off. And so I'm actually wondering if we might get something like that in Cobra Kai season 6, an episode or a scene or something that might actually set up a spin-off. I don't know. Do you think we'll see that? And that might be kind of like one of the surprises that Hayden's talking about.
I think so. That letter. I'm my apologies because I am working as you're hosting the live stream here.
Yes.
At some point, did they reference Breaking Bad? Like how Breaking Bad was able to kind of end on their own terms and stuff, or is that just something people are talking about?
I think it might be something people are talking about, but you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
It's like they push that point of being able to end on their own terms.
Right. So with Breaking Bad, for those that did watch the show, and it's been a while, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there was a little bit of a setup for Saul's character as well, and that's kind of where we saw the beginning of Better Call Saul.
Right.
So I can see that kind of being set up, and that show was a lot of it was about the writing and the strong acting, obviously, but they tied up every single loose end by that last season. So I know Cobra Kai was kind of working on that as well, tying up a lot of loose ends, and that's why a lot of people were, for those that were a little bit more casual fans, thought that was the end of it, but. Right. I think we're kind of working towards a finality, of the series and possible setups with the last remaining episodes for sure.
Yes. And Bill Camper says, I wonder if it was Netflix who said they're only going to do one more season. If so, maybe Hulu or Peacock will buy it so they can do more seasons. I know that this is kind of a feeling, and it's kind of a feeling I had. It's like, is this one more season kind of like a Netflix thing? Like, is it more like, hey, John, Josh, and Hayden would have liked to do 2 more seasons, but Netflix came back and said, no, guys, you're getting 1. I don't know. We don't know what happened with negotiations, but from their statement, they did feel confident that they were going to be able to end this on their own terms. And they seem to be very happy and satisfied with 1 more season. So I don't know. I'm thinking that it probably will not leave Netflix for Hulu or Peacock. I think all the Miyagi-verse properties are probably going to stay with Netflix because John, Josh, and Hayden have a major overall deal with Netflix. They have another series coming out, Obliterated. I don't know. That's how I read it. Peter, what do you think? It's pretty much going to stay Netflix, and this is going to be it, right?
I think so. I think if you're I want to phrase this so I don't get in trouble and stuff, but if you like read the
Sure.
tea leaves and whatnot, I feel like if there's anything that they have a hand in that's possibly related to the Miyagi-verse going forward, I feel it's going to be through Netflix.
Right.
And for those that were kind of wondering, well, what took Netflix so long to make this announcement? Because we had already heard a little bit of a leak on the Karate Kid Minute podcast with writer-producer Bob Dearden, who revealed that the writers' room would open up in February. The other thing is there might be some negotiations going on. There might be some amending of things contractually. We don't necessarily know exactly, but that is what the holdup was with the release of season 3 after the move to Netflix, because the move to Netflix was announced, I believe, late June of 2020, because I do remember it was the 36th anniversary. I remember, kind of joking with Ralph and Billy, like, well, thank you for joining us on this anniversary. And he said, Billy kind of joked that, that was a plan all along, for the 36th anniversary to come on to Cobra Kai Kompanion. And so I believe in that interview, and that actually might be a decent one to kind of revisit, kind of going into season 6 with a bunch of unknowns. We talked a lot about the move to Netflix and kind of like the future of Cobra Kai, so to speak. I'll probably listen to it after the stream as well, just to see if there's any nuggets I can pick up from that. But we understand that that the delayed release of season 3 after the move was due to like legality and things of that nature. Like a lot of lawyers were involved, and so it's just ironing things out. And I do think that season 6 was probably their plan all along. Again, that's something that we heard years ago.
Right.
John said that they had an outline, and if you try to go back and look for those tweets, I can't seem to find them. So
Yeah, I know. That's fascinating. Yeah, let us know. We'll have to get back with you and see if you're able to find any nuggets. Of course, everyone, go listen to the interviews on Cobra Kai Kompanion podcast, and maybe you'll be able to find those nuggets as well. Governor, thank you for being a channel member. Ander, good to see you. The possibilities are endless. They're endless.
they really are.
Great reference.
Yeah,
they really are. That's so great. Josh says Sato and Typhoon Chaser TV series. Oh yeah, you know I'd be there
sign me up
to see that. Yeah, exactly. That would be wonderful. Sato versus the Typhoon.
Yeah, we have Akimura. Akihiro Kitamura, who played the young Sato. He's there for any sort of spin-off. Come on, like the actors are there.
Yep, they're there. They're there. It'd be interesting though. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. It's like, so I guess in that series, you'd have a young Chosen, maybe younger than we saw Yuji play in Karate Kid 2.
But even so, that actor played young Sato. There's no reason he can't play up the age either.
Yes, you're right. They could age him a bit too. I love that idea. Oh my God, Peter, I love that idea. Yes. Yeah. So many great ideas here, guys. It's amazing. Big T says, thank you for joining us, Big T. As always, we're very honored by your presence and always wanting to serve you here. He says, if I don't get a spinoff, heads will roll. Yep.
Yikes. We don't want that.
We do not. And the thing is with the Big T, when he says heads will roll, the heads come off with insane kicks. So I mean, it's kind of a brutal deal. So yeah, we definitely want.
If we don't want to incriminate the Big T, it's the action figures heads will roll is really what he meant. Yeah.
Yes.
Action figure
indeed.
Roll. Yeah.
I like that. Action figures. Yes. David Harris makes a good point. Renee Aubergenois, who played Odo from DS9, fantastic actor, in my opinion, once said, "You're typecast as one role until you get typecast as another." That's a really interesting point and probably true. Drew Rohali says we need Sensei Ford, and I agree. He's wonderful. He's just an amazing guy. I look forward to actually doing more stuff with him. Peter and I got to talk with him right before the release of season 5 live. We went down to the Grove, and he's so talented in so many ways, and we would love to see Sensei Ford as Dennis really kick some butt in season 6.
Or a remake of The Breakfast Club and him as Bender. I mean, we already have the poster. You got the poster.
We do. Yes, we do. And if you'd watched some of our live stream, you've seen our recreation of the Breakfast Club poster. Pretty fun. Now, Robana talks about Supernatural tried doing the sort of covert, hidden, embedded pilots for spinoffs. That they tried that twice, and it didn't go very well. And that's a good point too. The Office tried to do that. There was this idea for an Office spinoff that would have been like The Farm. So Dwight's character and his family, that would be the spinoff. And if you'll remember, they did an episode of The Office at Dwight's farm. And that was meant to be sort of like the pilot, the covert pilot for the spinoff series. It never happened. And if I remember correctly, I didn't really enjoy that episode much either. But so I guess it's depending on how you do it. I don't know. Do you think that's a good technique or a bad technique, Peter?
It's really hard to say because everybody is so different, and John, Josh, and Hayden are very, very unique at what they do. I mean, they created the blueprint for bringing back, these old property and being so successful with it. They've really captured lightning in a bottle with Cobra Kai, and now I'm starting to think. Because like Friends was a long-running show, and even season 10 was just as hilarious as it was in season 1. And they tried spinning off Joey, who's also a beloved character.
Right.
I like some of the episodes, but that show didn't do very well. So I feel I think legacy characters would have a better chance if it's a
Right.
legacy character spinoff. So
Right.
that's just my thoughts for now.
It's tricky because it's almost like, the character can be very popular, but if that character is not surrounded by the ensemble that you're used to, sometimes people aren't as interested, or maybe the newer characters that they create aren't really as good. And so maybe people aren't as interested anymore. So yeah, it's like, yeah, you have to be careful, I think, of who you focus on and the characters that you bring around them. And you're right. I think that legacy characters would have a better shot because they already have this long-standing fan base and their lore and everything like that. We've got Big T. Thank you, Big T, for your comment. The only spinoff worth happening, obviously, is about how I built Dynatox from the ground up. Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to know about Dynatox.
There's
I
still
want to know
many questions unanswered with Terry Silver. So many.
I think I can right now think of 3 series that maybe could start to answer all those questions. And, I'm available for pitches anytime. Well, we're going to get Terry Silver known throughout the world. 100%. Natalie Erickson, Ken, you have to call your uncle and tell him to help Terry. Well, now that's interesting. Do you mean my uncle, or do you mean my cousin? Or do you mean my grandfather? Exactly. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out Cobra Cole, and I think you will. But I agree with you. My name is Ken Cole, and I may or may not be tied to the Cole family, who has maybe had dealings with Terry Silver. So we'll see. Don't worry. Just watch the Save Silver promo, and you'll notice that that's paid for by the Cole Associates for Free America. So obviously the Coles are working in Terry's behalf right now. So that's fun. Let's see. OAGJ Edit says, Big T, technically Papa T helped out with the company prior to you taking over the inheritance. And I think that's what Peter was saying. We need to know. There's so many unanswered questions about how that went down. Let's see. OMG by Golly Wow says, this is not a Netflix decision. I believe it was the decision of the 3 writers. And yeah, Peter, you've talked with them. We've talked about this idea that, is it their decision or is it Netflix's decision to end the series? And maybe, I don't know, maybe there were negotiations, but you would say though, that they probably feel very confident that this is a good way to end the series.
I would agree with that. Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like during that negotiation process, moving to Netflix, I feel the ball was really in their court. I mean, they could have gone anywhere. They initially wanted to be with Netflix, but YouTube said, "Hey, we'll give you 2 seasons." I mean, how do you say no to that, right? And nobody could have predicted. Well, I'm sure some could have. But who could have predicted that Netflix or YouTube would have been like, you know what? We don't know what to do with streaming shows, so I guess we'll just cancel them all. And that's how they were able to say, hey, can we find a new home? Again, that's all in my interview with them, talking about that move to Netflix. I believe they probably had a lot of stipulations, and it was just kind of working things out, because when they moved, that was just the perfect timing. Nobody could predict the pandemic, but that's, everybody was home and they were all able to watch Cobra Kai on Netflix, but they could have gone to something smaller. And maybe not got all the eyes on it, but they could have gone to an HBO Max and all these things. We see that Netflix can't even keep the Karate Kid movies of streaming.
Right.
So they really could have gone anywhere. And the fact that they chose Netflix, I feel that they probably could have asked for some things, and Netflix would have been like, okay, as long as we get your show.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And speaking of the big 3, Johnny Utah asks, Ken and Peter, what Star Wars project would you like to see the big 3 work on? Which is great. I did a whole video of the 7 lessons that Star Wars could learn from Cobra Kai. Everyone check that out if you haven't seen it. But I don't know, Peter, maybe episode 7.
I like episode 7. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Was
Oh,
there a Star Wars project you'd like to see them work on, or do you want them to work on Star Wars?
I'm gonna say no because there's so many other hands in that pot already,
Right.
and I honestly like. I'll just say it. I'll say it because I know they're huge fans of it as well. I want to see them do something with Back to the Future.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
And
they have an artwork of Doc in their office. You know,
yeah.
season 5 has all these little nods. There's a drawing of the flux capacitor in the Diaz's house. You
Wow.
know,
Yeah.
and
Right.
I remember visiting John and Hayden at their Sony office back in 2019, and you know, just kind of casually speaking, John was like, "Yeah, you know, um, when we were first like interviewed about Cobra Kai, and you know, we talked about like some of our favorite things growing up, and we mentioned Back to the Future, and they were already getting flack like, oh, you guys better not touch Back to the Future." You know, it's like, wow, like they're not even talking about like doing anything. They just talked about how they loved those, you know, that movie as well, or you know,
Right.
the franchise. So
Right.
I can't see a good reason why somebody, you know, who's a fan of Cobra Kai would say no to them, uh, you know, writing a prequel or a sequel or something related to the Back to the Future universe. So if I had a choice in IP, you know, that already exists, it would be that.
Yeah.
Star Wars, it's like there's already a lot of Star Wars things going on, and I
Right.
don't want to have to feel that I need to watch this series or these movies in order to enjoy what they could possibly bring us. You know,
Right. Right.
so yeah, those three movies, or yeah, I had to think about it. It's like, is there only three feature movies?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. There's only those three, and I mean, I've seen the cartoon as well. I host a podcast about the animated series, but
Right.
you know, that's all you got to go off of, and yeah, give me something from that, something that they also love. So
Yeah. And I remember they have publicly floated the idea of like they have a concept for the Back to the Future series, and that there were articles written about that. So they have publicly floated that.
okay,
Now you know, like the big three, I think John Hurwitz was quoted. I have to look at the articles, but it's almost like they were publicly saying, "Hey, you like Cobra Kai? We got this amazing idea for a Back to the Future series. That would be incredible." I know
that
though,
might
and you know
be.
that,
Yeah, that might be what I'm talking about, and I'm just kind of
right?
misremembering the details. So yeah.
Well, the thing is, you're also an expert on Back to the Future, and as I remember, Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale, they basically like their attitude is no one touches this but us
Over
and
our
stuff like
dead
that.
bodies,
Right,
I think is a quote.
right. And so that might be, you know, that might be the first time that we see a new incarnation of Back to the Future might be down the road, like decades down the road, for that very reason. But I would love to
I
see
you
what John,
know
Josh, and Hayden would do.
I agree with that, and sometimes people say things and go against their word. You know, sometimes they
Yeah,
take it back.
right.
You know, Bob Zemeckis, he executive produced Manifest, and it started off okay. And like in my opinion, I mean, I didn't stay current on that show, but you know, maybe sometimes his decisions aren't the correct ones. That's my opinion.
Yes. Right, right. Uh, I agree. Like they could benefit from having John, Josh, and Hayden work on their projects, but who knows? It sounds like the big three, as we call them, have so many great projects going on right now that they're just headed to the moon anyway. So Donnie Pearson says, "Well, it's been fun, but I must run. Thank you both, Ken and Peter. Till we meet next time. Have a great weekend, and remember, Cobra Kai never dies." Thank you, Donnie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Donnie.
that's
Appreciate that.
great. Nerd World says we need a Cole family tree. I've got one all drawn
No
out.
surprise.
Peaceful Skull says the Coles. Yes. Let's see what else. So many great comments, guys. I wish we could get to all of them. I know we've skipped over lots of comments, but here's the thing. If you want some of your comments addressed, put them in the comments under the video. That way they'll be permanent. That way anyone who comes to this video in the future will see your comment, and it won't appear just at one point during the chat. If there's something you really want to share with everyone and get feedback, put it below the video as well. And, we all read that. So Kate Maloney.
And let me
Oh,
let
yes,
me
go
add
ahead.
this as an option as well. If you guys are on Twitter, Ken and I are on Twitter.
Oh, yes,
You
of
know,
course.
we're happy to answer questions and engage. As long as you're polite and stuff like that. I feel
Right,
like we
right.
will answer you. So yeah, find us on Twitter, and we'll happy to answer any questions to the best of our abilities. But at the very least, follow us for our retweets and quote
Hmm.
tweets. From other people. I like to think that we have a pretty good pulse on the behind the scenes stuff as they come out from those that are involved with the show.
Right. Yes, and that's a great point. And while you're at it, guys, if you're watching, you might be watching on Twitter right now. You might be watching on Facebook, or you might be watching on YouTube. We are on all of these platforms. So whatever platform you're on, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and follow. Go ahead and like. And if you can, hit the notification bell. It
It's
helps
free.
us. It helps this channel grow. And right, Peter, it's free, and it makes you feel
And
so good.
so
So
good.
good. So good when after you do it. And
Yeah.
you're right. And you're guaranteed, like, if you follow Cobra Kai Companion podcast, you are guaranteed just like amazing quality content. And I would hope the same would be true for this channel too. So if you're enjoying the stream, go ahead and follow, go ahead and subscribe. And that is a really great way to do it. And for this reason, Kim says, Ken, I really enjoyed your video. Terry Silver's not guilty. Helped me to re-examine things. Yes. And Peter, that's what I like to do on this channel is, maybe sometimes propose alternate viewpoints. Was Sato overrated? Is Terry Silver really guilty? Did Mrs. LaRusso and Miyagi have a secret affair? All of these things, sometimes we have fun and we talk about, all these possibilities in the Miyagi-verse, but that's what's fun about being a fan, I think. And so thank you guys for everything. Matt says, how do you save silver? Thank you, Matt. Let's see. David Harris says, sounds like I need to rewatch season 5 for the Back to the Future Easter eggs. I missed those. Easter eggs, yes. Definitely. Yeah, it's a great time to rewatch season 5. Governor Ander says, could we have a series that explores Miyagi and Lucille's suspected relationship? I'd love to do that. That would be so fun, and the entire tension of the series would be around whether Daniel's going to find out. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? And I don't know. I might be talking about this in depth with Strife the Warrior coming up in a few weeks. But think about it, guys. And I'm not saying that it happened during the movies, during the time period of the movies, because obviously they knew each other for decades. So I'm just saying, at some point, did it happen? Anyway, so have fun with that. Let's see. Josh says Lucille LaRusso and Spectrum TV series. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, so Peter, let's talk about a couple things. Lucille LaRusso, do you think there's interest there? Do you think people want to see more of Lucille LaRusso, or is she just kind of like a character that's beloved by fans, but doesn't need more explanation?
I mean, I'm not sure what else. Here you go. You're welcome. I'm not sure what else you need from her. I mean, it's
Right.
nice to have her, kind of in the background, the supportive grandmother, supportive mom, and all those things. I mean, I think anything that she does would probably take away from maybe Amanda.
Right.
This show, one of the very few criticisms I feel that this show has is that it has a lot of characters.
Right.
And we're just trying to find what to do with them. And like I would love more Lucille. I would welcome that.
Yes.
But
yes.
bringing more Lucille, who are you taking time away from? Yaya?
Right.
If we think with the baby coming for the Diaz family, like, do you want to take away from that family just for more LaRusso? So that's it's just one of those things. I think that's why we didn't get her at all in season 6 or 5.
Mm-hmm. Right. I know, and I heard too, like there's more, like obviously there was like a deleted scene with Lucille in it from season 4. as well. And so I love the character, and I know Ralph Macchio wanted to include her more, especially in Karate Kid 3. I guess he lobbied for her to appear in Karate Kid 3. They really weren't interested in having that character appear in the sequels, which is too bad because she's such a great character in that first movie. But oh well.
Yeah.
This is C.H. Wheeler going back to the Karate Kid. The Back to the Future idea. He brings up a good point. He says Ralph said no to Karate Kid pitches 100 times. It only took the right pitch to say yes. Maybe Back to the Future could happen with the right pitch. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. They might get to a point, the Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale might get to a point where they would be willing to entertain a great pitch for the series.
And I also think that, like, if you ask them, especially Gale, who seems to still be very much part of the fandom, he would probably argue that there already is a sequel, and that would be the Telltale Games that actually takes place in 1986, following the events of Part 3. Yeah.
Those are excellent, by the way. Yeah.
Yes, and also the comic books that answer so many questions, with the very first issue giving you the answer on how did Marty and Doc actually meet. So, so there are things out there, but I mean, I would prefer to see it in a movie form, but that's just me.
Right. Exactly. That's the original form of Back to the Future. Okay, it's time for the $1 million question, Peter. OMG by golly wow says a Miyagi sequel exploring his life growing up in the internment camp, his romance with his wife, and his experience as a war veteran in World War II would be so great. So, Peter,
wouldn't it?
Okay, it would be great. Now,
yeah,
and I'm gonna guess, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you would be 100% behind this. I think, as I would be.
Yes, absolutely. Ken, I believe, is that how you found me? Is that how you first came across Cobra Kai Kompanion? Or was there something else before
that was no, I had been listening to you guys well before that. I think that's maybe the first time I reached out to you.
That's probably right, because you just started sharing, and I was just like, is this person just sharing, or do they know who I am? Because it wouldn't be until you invited me on to the big epic stream for season 4, because I also at that point had just put out a non-spoiler review, so the first content creator at that point to get the screeners. And I have made a Miyagi video and kind of explored what we kind of thought his time in service would have been, and so that is out there. I would very much welcome, like a limited series, maybe 12, 13 episodes chronologically, him leaving Okinawa, maybe just right before leaving Okinawa, and his time in the U.S. Maybe he had somebody else before Daniel LaRusso, because why nobody until Daniel LaRusso does he decide to actually mentor somebody and teach somebody else karate. And so, like, in my opinion, I felt like there might have been somebody else beforehand that possibly got really hurt because Miyagi tried helping him, and he vowed to never teach again until Daniel LaRusso. So I kind of go over that, and Watch Party, who did produce the video for me, I wrote the script, he produced the video. He actually had me on his channel, and we discussed Miyagi pitches. And so that's an episode on his channel for those that want to check that out. But yeah, I would very much welcome this. This is a character that's very personal to me, and this is nothing. But in my last interview with Robert Markaman, he said he saw it, and he didn't say anything bad, but he was just like, yeah, who does this stuff? Who does all this research? And I'm like, well, you'd be surprised. If you had a Twitter, you'd hear all about all of our, ideas and stuff. So, that could be something that would excite many people who seem to love the character, and even I've heard it from younger people who like, I watched those movies after starting Cobra Kai, and I love me some Mr. Miyagi. So let's start with that. That's the spirit of him lives on in Cobra Kai. Let's get us the actual character, before the events of Part 1.
Right. And I feel like the biggest challenge to that, and I would love to see it, but the biggest challenge is you have to find the right actor to play Mr. Miyagi, because they will forever be compared to Pat Morita. Like, that's going to be the first thought. when first episode, are people going to line up this actor against Pat Morita? And how do you do that? And so, however, I do have confidence that that actor is out there, that and that is discoverable. I am sure there is an actor out there that would make the character his own, and people would absolutely fall in love with the character. So
I think so too. And this, I don't think this will excite like a lot of people, but for those that do know me and follow what I do, I'm a huge fan of Quantum Leap. And recently they rebooted the show, not with the original actor who was the lead, but a different actor, and we're following him. So it's a brand new character, and that's a big shoe to fill, to quote unquote replace Scott Bakula. And they found a genuinely good dude, and he is doing great. The show is doing great. I feel like it did get renewed for a second season, but I'm not positive. I'm really behind on like everything Quantum Leap right now. But that show proved that somebody could be. I know it's not the same actor, but the same character, but a lot of people were concerned with like, well, the spirit of Scott Bakula. How do you get that or do better? But they found somebody. So my point is that, well, we found somebody that was able to play young Sato. We got a young Chosen. And so like everyone that they have found, seem to at least have the look. But yeah, the acting chops, good actors are good actors, and it's just the matter of finding them.
Indeed. Yeah. So let's see, guys. I don't know. This could be a series that we could be hearing about. Any of these ideas that you guys have been talking about, this could be what they're referring to in their letter about potential future projects in the Karate Kid universe. Josh says Lucille LaRusso worked in Dynatox, probably. That's great. Kim says Daniel's mom was a good mom in the 80s and beyond. I know, for me, she's like the 80s mom. She's just great and very authentic.
Great. Yeah.
Very authentic.
I mean, think about the scene where she goes to pick up Allie and Daniel from the golf and stuff, and, and she wasn't embarrassed by her car or anything, it was more for Daniel, but yeah, she loves her son and she just wants what's best for him, and we continue to see that on Cobra Kai.
Yep. And and I will say, being part Italian myself and from the Northeast, she's just a Northeast Italian mom. It's just, she's just perfectly. It just makes so much sense. So let's see. And Big T says, since everyone's talking about dear old Lucille now, would probably be a good time to confess I am Daniel's real father. It's the parentage we all knew, but we're afraid to admit, right? Yes.
We all knew it. We already know it. I mean,
yeah, we are.
If you're just now finding out, you were behind the 8 ball, I guess. But that's not right.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, Peter, this has been really great having you on board. And I guess this news, if you could sum up this news, the fact that it's season 6, we're getting it, it's happening. Maybe we'll get it by the end of 2023 or early 2024, but it will be the final season. What are your emotions? And do you have any kind of thoughts to summarize and kind of wrap everything up?
Yeah, man, just the idea. I had a feeling that this was gonna be the final, but just hearing it announced officially, yeah, it's giving me all types of feels and things like that. Just based on history, I was like, well, if they start writing in Feb, if they start filming in May, I don't see why they couldn't release towards the end of the year. And for anybody that follows Hayden, he did tweet out, fingers crossed, like, hey, maybe this time next year, we can have the next season. And he then went back and said, hey, it's just kind of wishful thinking, basically, for those that were going to make a video based off of that tweet. He knew what everyone was going to do. But I will leave this person anonymous, but I got an interesting comment on Facebook. Let me find it real quick, because somebody I posted this, I shared the news on my Facebook, And a coworker of mine was like, "Oh, when do you think it'll come out?" And I kind of gave my thoughts. Somebody part of the show says, "Just my guess based on what I know. Nothing in 2023, but 2024 is going to show no mercy."
Okay. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Part of the show.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing though too is I will say about stuff. We have to take that with a grain of salt because we just don't know.
Yes.
I am almost totally convinced that season 5 was originally intended to release in the same time slot until Netflix decided, hey, we've got the series, it's in the can, and actually it would be better for us if we released it earlier in September to compete with, maybe it's the equivalent of sweeps against Lord of the Rings and House of the Dragon, and Cobra Kai ended up beating them, but it's possible that Netflix will make a sort of last minute decision that it's going to be better to release this series at a certain time. So we just don't know yet. It'll probably depend on whenever they finish it and everything like that. So let's see. Chris, thank you. Chris, channel member. Thank you for being a channel member. Says, "Hey, Ken, I just got home and heard the news. Good news. We're having a season 6. Bad news. It'll be the last." Yes. And then so Peter, just to kind of wrap up, my thoughts are, it's kind of hard for me because I remember when I first saw the advertisements for Cobra Kai, and I made sure to get into the theater because I wanted to be at that Fathom event that showed the original Karate Kid movie and the first 2 episodes of Cobra Kai. And I think that was 2 weeks before it would release on YouTube Red. So this was like the beginning. I was so excited, and it looked like it could be so good. And after watching that entire first season, I was just blown away. I loved it. They even mentioned Terry Silver. It just seemed like the sky was the limit. They could do anything they want. And then you had season 2, season 3, and it just felt like you could keep looking forward to more Cobra Kai. It's just such fun characters and such a fun universe. And it's kind of weird now to, we can look forward to another season, but it's like, that's it. It's not going to keep going on forever. And so I don't know. For me, it is kind of bittersweet. Makes me feel a little bit older, I guess. I don't know. But so I don't know. But Peter, I don't know if you have any final thoughts, but just I want to say that everyone definitely subscribe, like, follow this channel, but also follow the Cobra Kai Kompanion podcast. Peter does so much great work. Not just in the Cobra Kai universe, but you heard also with Back to the Future, just in general, but also the animated series. He has Podstalgic, which is another podcast about movies of yore. And so everyone follow us. We love hearing your comments. If you didn't get a chance to post in the live chat, go ahead and post in the comments below the video, because this video stays and people keep watching this who have not been able to watch live. So definitely do that. So I want to hand it over to Peter to kind of give us a last word on this very momentous day in the history of Cobra Kai.
Yeah, Ken, thanks. Thank you as always for thinking of me, for coming on for your live stream and special episodes. Like one of my favorites, and you gave me the permission to put it on my feed, but you had me come on and we talked about the Karate Kid 2 and the character of Chosen, and that was a very popular episode on my feed. So
it was fun.
Always a big thanks to you. You also assisted me with Paley Fest. That came up last night as well. Somebody had asked me a question about it, but just I'm really excited for season 6. The creators have done no wrong to the fans at this point. I don't think any big decision they made has really upset people. Yes, we would like more episodes. Yes, we would like them longer. Yes, we would like more seasons, but we don't want the show to get to a point where it drops and the whole expression of jumping the shark. We don't want that show to go out that way. We want it to leave on a high note, and we're always going to be like, you don't want it to drop so low where there's going to be shows that are better than Cobra Kai, because because there just isn't one. It has this built-in fan base. You mentioned it, where there's many of us who have grown up with these movies for decades. loving these characters, and not often do we get to see them return in such a big way and tell like a fresh story and continuation of it. And Cobra Kai, broke records and built the blueprint for something like this. From season one, you were just talking about watching it early, and I remember thinking, all right, it comes out May 2nd, 2018. I'm just going to watch the first 2 episodes because it's free, and then I'm
Yeah.
going to start my free subscription, and I'll have 30 days to finish the show. I originally had only planned to do a 1 episode recap of season one, and after watching the first 2 episodes, I go, there's no way I'm doing 1 episode. And that's how Cobra Kai Kompanion was created. I wanted to continue talking about this. I wanted to break down the episodes, break down the trailers, like kind of how YouTube channels do it, but just on a podcast form. And
Right.
so they continue to give us great stories that we never thought we would need, pairings of characters that we didn't think we need. And so whatever they have planned for us, it just has me that much more excited. And the positive thing about it is, the show will eventually end, but there's no reason that we can't go back and rewatch these shows. The fandom will still be there. We can continue these binges with other fans in the fandom, because we didn't have that before, and we at least have that now, and that's something
Right.
to be really excited about.
Peter, you put it so perfectly. And it's just a reminder to everyone that even though the show ends, you and I, Peter, aren't going anywhere. We're always up for talking about this stuff. And thank you, Peter, so much for joining us today and lending your wisdom on this very historic day for Cobra Kai.
Happy to do
Peter,
it.
thank you. We wish you a happy anniversary for work. Thank you for joining us on the road.
Sure.
This has been very exciting. And I also want to thank everyone who's been watching today, everyone in the comments. Thank you so much. I see comments about the shirt. Yes. I'd have to look and see if I can find the link to get this shirt. If it's still, I got it a couple of years ago, so I don't know if it's still on offer, but thank you for the comments on the shirt. And definitely go ahead and subscribe to Ken Cole here on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to the Cobra Kai Kompanion podcast. I have been joined by Peter Vonasak. It's been a pleasure. And thank you, Peter. And I hope you have a great weekend.
I thank you, Ken. I do have one last comment before I sign off and have you wrap up. The shirt you're wearing, it is created by Martin Go, who runs Preserve Dragon, and he's out of Canada. So you got to do a little conversion for the price there if you're looking to order one. I'm sure they are still available because people were asking about my Cobra Kai characters T-shirt that has all the characters on it. So if you are interested, you can also reach out to me. I'll help you find the link because I do have a promo code that will give you 20% off.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
great. I think it's just Kompanion. So Martin and I, we have a relationship because I discovered him pretty early on, and I mean it's great work. So I just help promote his stuff and share it and put it out there and all these things. And so he. As a sign of appreciation, he decided to create me a code for merchandise. So if you guys want that, reach out and I'll help you find a link for it.
There you go. Thank you, Peter, so much. Yeah, and he does such a great job. He just captures these characters. It's absolutely incredible. He's got such a talent. So be sure to do that. And then also I want to remind you, use Save Silver for 20% off the Save Silver merchandise this week for people who are watching the podcast. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Thank you, Peter, and everyone else. Thanks for watching live or on the replay. And we look forward to seeing you next time on KenCast.